We're live. This is so exciting. Hi, everyone. We are live here to be talking about 2021 movies and DC Fandome and just a lot of fun stuff. Super enjoyable. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and my fellow film critic Patrick Beatty is here. Patrick, thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, it's so exciting to be on. I didn't know if I needed to jump into the cheering at the beginning. I wanted to, but I was like, wait, she might be doing an intro. Don't jump in.
No, you did great. So, for people that might not be as familiar with you, why don't you introduce yourself to my audience?
Yeah, well, I've had you over on my side a few times, but you're right. It's not really been necessarily on this side because we haven't found something that works really well for me to engage with it instead of like Hallmark stuff, but more like DC, Batman. So
Yeah,
I'm glad I was able to. I do movie reviews much like yourself, but definitely go more into the generally how do I call it, the basic
mainstream
movies. I'm always going with the mainstream. Yeah. Every once in a while there'll be little ones here or there looking back at some previous films, but I do the movie reviews on my website, on YouTube, and then every once in a while on Fridays I go to ABC4 Good Things Utah and do reviews there.
Yeah, so if you're local, you definitely want to check out ABC4. His reviews on that channel, super fun.
They let you get away with a lot of stuff. That's the thing that's surprising to me is every time I come in, they don't know exactly what's going to happen because it's never only a review. I've got someone showing up as Michael Myers, or I've dressed like Bob Ross and have painted 3 canvases with the ratings for the movies. Like, there are some weird things that happen when I'm on that show.
I love that. I think that's really fun. Yeah. The last time, believe it or not, that you were on my channel was for 2019 San Diego Comic-Con. That throws you back.
What?
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Because we see each other like twice a week.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing.
Yesterday. And yeah.
So
I don't know whose fault. I think that's both our faults. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. We'll do better. But we have the chat room open, so if anybody is around, then check out the chat. We'd love to have your comments, questions, whatever you want to do. We would love that. So check that out. But I thought it'd be fun before we kind of dive into DC Fandome, because I'll be honest, it was kind of lame. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about some of our favorites of 2021. You and I have both been able to participate in a bunch of festivals because they've done digital. I've done Sundance, which was so good, so well run, such a great slate of movies, and they really set the bar very high for everybody else. What's that?
It was the best of times.
Yeah, it really was.
They gave us everything, and they didn't care. And then everybody else went, hold on.
Yes. They really did. I mean, they had really great interviews along with every single movie. There was panels. They did an incredible job at Sundance, and just the slate was so much better than anybody else's slate.
Yeah.
But
I know we're probably going to talk about this already, but like some of my favorite movies of this year came out of Sundance.
Yeah, agreed. But then we had South by Southwest. I had the International Children's Film Festival, which was really fun. There's also then there was Tribeca, which wasn't as good, but it had some good stuff.
That's where I dropped off.
Did you keep
going? How much? Well, because you're going this weekend.
Yeah, and so then I did TIFF as well.
Oh, that's so much.
Yes, and I actually attended New York Film Festival, just 2 movies though, because I didn't get in press for that one. So I was just in New York. So I went to 2 movies at New York Film Festival. Also Fantasia Fest, which is more horror. So I only ended up seeing 5 films at that festival. But anyway, so there's been a lot of festivals. And do you keep track of kind of what movies do you do Letterboxd or keep track of what you see?
So my big issue, and honestly, it's the ADHD more than anything. It's that there's 5 to 70 different platforms. Everybody, all of them's vying for your review and however you're going to put it out. So my big thing lately has been Instagram putting out little 30-second, little more stylized, just graphic reviews of stuff, not just me on camera. But then doing, I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't think I've had as much experience on it as I'd like to have.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of a Letterboxd freak, and if people don't know listening, Letterboxd is a site where you can log your movies and share your scores and different things. And I have watched 163 feature films new in 2021. I've watched 226, including TV movies, and
Jeez.
including old and new movies. I've watched 382. So,
You care if I press a button? I'm gonna press a sound effects button. Can you hear it? Like, holy crap. That's amazing.
very good, very good. So it's hard when you're thinking about your favorites and best and worst. And I have decided this year I'm just cataloging what I watch, and I'm going to wait until the end of the year to rank it,
Mhm.
because I found that was kind of like, it was stressful in the past because I felt like, oh, now I'm tied to that ranking that I've been doing all year. And so this year I'm trying a different strategy. I'm just going to wait till the end of the year and then do the ranking.
Mm,
So
that's smart.
anyway, but some of my favorites, I loved Together from
Mhm.
Sundance. We talked about that over at Hallmark's podcast. I loved the fact that it was a platonic friendship. You never see that portrayed in film, and I really liked the script, and I liked the chemistry, and I just thought it was a really sweet, lovely little movie. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed Flea, and that's another
Mm.
Sundance.
Please, one I need to see still.
It's so good. I mean, it's so good. You can tell it's good because they had it, I think, at Tribeca. They had it at TIFF. They had it at, like, everybody wants to have Flea because it's just a beautiful movie. And there's a point where in the movie, where he is going to be coming out to his sister or brother or somebody like that. And I can't remember, but and you're just on pins and needles, just like hoping he gets accepted,
Mhm.
hoping he gets embraced. And then when he does, the tears flow. It was so meaningful. And because you kind of think, oh no, they're going to reject him because they're more from this traditional backgrounds and everything like that. And so it was so moving. And I'm not going to say it needed to be animated, but it was something different,
Mhm.
to have. Not that we've never seen animated documentaries before, we certainly have, but it was something a little bit unique, and I just loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. Um, I really loved Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Oh,
I
definitely.
thought that had so much heart. It was so funny. I loved the family, totally connected with it. The animation was absolutely beautiful. So that's one of my favorites. What about you? What are some of your favorites that you've seen so far this year?
Sure. Well, if we're going to Sundance, I mean, the one that everybody's talking about now, but I felt cool talking about it back then was Coda.
No,
Coda
yes,
was
yeah.
absolutely fantastic.
Mhm,
Prisoners of the Ghostland, however weird it is, I still really enjoyed.
mhm,
Um, it ended up getting a lot more hate than I thought it was going to when it came out. I thought people were going to be a lot more excited about just Nicolas Cage is going crazy in a Japanese Western film. Like, this is super
mhm,
fun. But a lot of people, apparently the director has made a lot of other films that they think were done a lot better than this. But for me, I was like, well, this is pretty great. I think
yeah,
Together was awesome. I agree. Ed Helms, he really, if you're an Office fan, season 8 and 9 really made me hate that guy. And like, I was like, is there redemption for this actor? Because am I just gonna see stupid Andy every time? I didn't in this. I actually saw
mhm,
his character and I saw
yeah.
his relationship, and that made me appreciate it even more. Another one, Eight for Silver, if we're talking about Halloween, it's a
I haven't
werewolf
seen
film
that one.
that came out at Sundance. It is so cool. It almost
Mm,
is like what's the Netflix show that just came out it's Midnight Mass. It's
mhm,
almost like Midnight Mass, but give it a werewolf spin instead of I won't spoil what the spin is for that.
mhm. Yeah, I've heard of that. I hadn't seen it. A couple others that I liked. I really enjoyed In the Heights. I thought it was really entertaining and loved the just spectacle of it all
Mhm.
and the music. And I loved Dream Horse. I think that's an underrated gem from
Mm.
this year. Tony Collette, just a crowd pleaser, makes you happy. We
Mhm.
need more of those kind of movies as far as I'm concerned.
Definitely. Oh, you
Yeah.
know what is a crowd pleaser like that? Everybody's talking about Jamie. That's gotta
Yeah.
be in my
Agreed.
top 10. I
Mhm.
call that the Sing Street for this year. Like,
Mhm.
it hits at the right moment.
Yeah.
It gives you nothing but, like, good feelings, and in the end, like, y it's great music too, so you can actually just enjoy it without even watching the show.
Yeah, that one's a really good one. When I had never heard of Sarah Lancashire before, evidently she's like a legend in Britain, like
Yeah.
really famous. But she was incredible, I thought, as the mom in that movie. And when she has her big song, I thought she nailed it. And Richard E. Grant, I wouldn't be surprised with the right campaign if he could get a Best Supporting
Oh, he threw himself
nomination.
at that.
Yeah,
That,
he was
can we
great.
count Loki? Did you like Loki a lot this year?
Oh, adored. Yeah,
Awesome. But can we count TV shows in this and
I
talking
think
about our
so.
favorites? I feel
Sure.
like in 2021 we can do anything now.
Yeah. I mean, it's our broadcast, so who cares? We can count
Um,
whatever we want.
what else is there?
Yeah,
Hey,
I
I really
loved
like
Loki. Yeah.
Pig with Nicolas Cage. Did you like that one?
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, Pig.
I know I
Blew
need
me
to.
away. So good.
As far as TV shows, I loved, and people might be surprised, I don't know, but I thought The Babysitters Club season 2 was so good. I mean, people think, "Oh, it's just for little kids or whatever." No, if you like good writing and good characters, you'll like the show. It is so authentic, it is so well written.
Yeah.
It escapes so many of the cliches and tropes of sort of teen shows, teen movies. I was bawling at times. I mean, I gave it a perfect score and I never do that,
What?
but I
Wait, so
loved
you
it.
read the books, though? You read the books when you were little?
Yes, I do have a lot of nostalgia for the
Yeah.
books, but
That and
I
Animorphs. Those are my things.
which one?
Animorphs. Do you
Oh, yeah.
remember that?
Yeah.
Where's that movie? Why haven't they done that yet? They've done
But
everything.
I even had a Babysitters Club with me and my friends that we did.
What? That's so cool. Well, then
Yeah.
that makes sense, and if it's faithful, it's even
Oh,
better. Like,
they just
it's very rare that they give you a faithful adaptation to something that you had back in the day.
mhm. Yeah, and it's so good. It's just the writing is great. So I highly recommend everybody watch that. There's also been a lot of really good shows that have kind of flown under the radar. The Turner and Hooch on Disney Plus was
Mm.
really good,
I
very
was into Mighty
entertaining,
Ducks
very
too.
well done.
Yeah, their new Mighty Ducks turned out to be
Yeah,
pretty
that
okay
was
to
great.
me.
I Big Shot was actually surprisingly good, well written, good characters. And so a lot of those kind of shows I think kind of were under the radar and
Mhm.
were really good.
I would say
Um,
probably my favorite show this year has been Ted Lasso,
oh yeah.
and
Oh,
more than anything, and, like, you finished season 2?
yes.
Oh my goodness. There's just something about a bunch of sweaty men just exploring their feelings and, like,
Yeah.
trying to, like to hugging it out and doing all kinds of stuff. There's this twit there's this Twitter, tweet that came out that was like a Batman trailer, but they
Oh yeah.
retrofitted it to be Ted
That was so
Lasso instead.
good.
Oh my god, they did so well with that. I think that what they've done with Nate is incredible. Like, I
Yeah.
really was not okay with it at first, but, the way they ended it, I was like, "Whoa, he's Doctor Doom." Like,
Yeah.
they're going for it
I
with
am
this guy.
fascinated to see what season 3 will bring with Nate. It's gonna be very
And the
interesting.
female characters and the writing for the
Oh.
chemistry with them and, like, me being, me being a man, I really it took a while when you get into film criticism and stuff to start to realize the stuff that you've seen from other like, people not passing the Bechdel test in their movies or, like, seeing that, the representation just never has really been there and that opening your eyes to it. And Ted Lasso
Mhm.
making the
Mm.
2 lead characters, n not only female, but friends that aren't fighting. Like, there's always fighting between the 2 female characters, or they're always like a competition or something. There's nothing to be seen as far as that goes. It's all just love, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think it was just about perfect. I didn't love the beard episode. I
Yeah,
mean, it
a
was
lot of
just,
people were a little off on that
it
one.
felt random and I didn't feel like I really got to know him better as a character. So it kind of reminded me of the 11 episode of Stranger Things where you like go into her backstory and it didn't really tell you anything and you just like
Yeah.
why did we do this? But the funeral episode, I think is episode 8, That was, I think, a perfect episode of television. I can't think of a single thing I would change. I was crying. I was laughing. I when he's like, when Roy Kent is like, "You'll avenge my death."
Yeah, I know,
Go
right?
after the you get hit by a bus driver, you'll go after the bus driver, avenge
When
my
they were
death.
trying to guess it was Sam, it's like, "Is he tall? Is it Sam? How did you know?"
So good. Yeah, I also loved Schmigadoon. I thought that was hilarious. As somebody who loves musicals, goes to musicals all the time, I thought it was hilarious
I
and
didn't know
really
you
well
watched that.
done,
That
very
makes me so
funny.
happy.
What's that?
I didn't know you watched that. That makes me really happy.
Oh, Schmigadoon? Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's
I
cool.
loved it.
That's what's up.
um,
I mean, we can talk
another
about the Marvel stuff like the other
yes.
ones, like, Winter Soldier and What If. Let's be
Yeah.
honest, What If was underwhelming. Like,
Yeah,
in
I
my
only
opinion,
watched 3 of them, and then I just kinda lost interest.
the Doctor Strange one, that's the best one, and then
Okay.
from there, you can probably move ahead.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
just have been so busy. Yeah, and then the, Falcon Winter Soldier, I thought that it had some good things, some things I liked, but overall, I didn't really like it. I didn't really like the, what were they called? The I can't think
Flag
Flag
Smashers?
Smashers or whatever.
Yeah. Which is
I
like,
just
you
didn't
can't
think they
smash a
worked.
flag unless like, if it's frozen, I guess you could smash it, but you're just, like, lightly dropping cloth. How do you smash a flag?
I mean,
That's a good
fair.
question.
Yeah.
No one asked them that. They should have talked about their name before they put that out there.
But WandaVision, I also just loved. I thought it was so creative. I can't think of anything in so long where I just had no idea what was coming up next
Mhm.
as I was
It's just
watching.
fun. Like,
It was
every episode
really
was so
fun. Yeah,
fun.
I agree.
I'm glad they're doing an Agatha standalone show with
Hmm.
her. Do you
That's
think
gonna
they'll
be
go for,
great.
like, past or go for whatever's happening to her post WandaVision?
Hmm. So one random little, if we're talking about hidden gems that I want to recommend that people keep an eye out for, there's an animated film out of Czech Republic. This is a true obscure, but that I watched at one of the festivals. It's called Even Mice Belong in Heaven.
Oh,
And it's stop motion, adorable about this mouse and this fox, and they're like mortal enemies. They both end up dying. They go to heaven and they become friends when they're in heaven.
oh, okay.
And then they get sent back to Earth, but they get sent back swapped. And so now the one is a mouse, the one is a fox, and they how they can keep their friendship alive. It's so cute. It was really good. I highly recommend keep an eye out for it. It might be one of those ones with the right campaign, the right publicity that kind of sneaks in there as sort of the independent animated nominee from that you sometimes see at the Oscars. You know, there'll be
Mm.
like that one that most people haven't heard of except for me. And it was really good. I highly recommend checking it out.
No, and, there was other films that kinda went within, like, a kind of more under the radar
Hmm.
that were interesting concepts, but I don't know if they were fully fleshed out. Like, False Positive, I thought was interesting,
Hmm.
but they kind of went back into, like, the traditional horror tropes, and Spiral tried its hardest to be
Oh yeah.
something. Like, it was like, "Please let us be relevant." And no!
Another one that I loved that got some attention is Summer of Soul
Yes.
documentary. That
Mm,
was just
yeah.
so great, so entertaining, so well done. Like it had just enough of the music, with just enough of the talking heads, with just enough of the, and you're sitting here, you're thinking like, how is it possible this happened the same year as Woodstock, and this is the first time we're hearing about it? Like,
Right.
what on earth?
I still can't really process that because, well, it's just a totally different time now, right? Like, a festival that would be happening like, let's say, for instance, there's a festival happening in Alabama versus a festival happening in, like, DC or in
Mhm.
LA. Nobody's going to the Alabama one to see, like, Kid Rock and stuff, but everybody's going to where Drake and where everybody else is doing the big shows, but to have back there those incredible performers that I guess just were not looked at properly, but now with, like, the
Mm.
lens that we have, they were some of the best performers of our time.
Yeah, and there's such,
It's
if people think,
upsetting
"Oh, I don't
though.
like soul music." No, like there's more than just soul music. There's like soul
Oh,
music, R&B, there's rock, there's gospel, there's everything that you could want in
Not
this.
just African American either. The Hispanic culture came in and
That's
brought in
true.
music. Like there's all kinds of different, but
Mhm.
I guess it wasn't where all of the angsty white kids were that were getting,
Yeah.
blessed with hoses because they thought it was fun.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, they even have the Republican mayor that they bring up on stage who's, like, the biggest fan of that. That was kinda
Yeah.
funny, I thought. He's like, "Woo,
Mhm.
woohoo."
I really
Uh,
like the Val documentary too about Val Kilmer.
I haven't seen that yet, I want to.
Oh, it's a bit tough, but at the
Mhm.
same time, like, getting to see how much he loved just what he did, and, like, he filmed
Yeah.
everything as far as behind the scenes stuff, and to have so much footage of him just, like, filming behind the scenes of Batman Forever and Top Gun, to be able to make a full documentary about it is pretty awesome, and his
Mhm.
son sounds just like him. He narrates the whole documentary.
I heard that was really, really good. I wanna see it. Do you have a worst of the year that you think is the worst movie you saw?
Oh, snap. We're gonna go worst? Alright.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so there's, like, Dear we could talk Dear Evan Hansen, we could talk
Mhm.
Cinderella, the Amazon version, we could talk
Mhm.
we could talk a lot of them. Mortal
Ye
Kombat, kind of. Cherry.
yeah.
I can't believe Cherry came out this year.
Yeah, that seems like
Like,
so long ago.
that's insane to me, but Cherry and Dear Evan Hansen share a similar kinship of, "This is a very weird take for this, but okay."
For me, the worst, I think the Earwig and the Witch was absolutely
I haven't even
terrible.
what is that? I'm
Well,
looking that up right now.
so it was made by you know Hayao Miyazaki, Studio
Yeah.
Ghibli? So his son, Goro Miyazaki, he has
Oh.
made several animated films. Most of them have been not very good, very well received. And so he's making this one. So I was like pulling for it. And this is Studio Ghibli's return. It's their first CG animated film. So I was excited about this and it was terrible. It had no story. The animation is ghastly,
It
awful.
kinda looks terrifying, like
Yeah,
James and the Giant Peach, but you're not leaving the nightmare.
it was so bad. And when you put that Studio Ghibli tag on it, I expect much better. That's for sure. And then for me, I also hated a movie that I saw at Sundance called Taming the Garden, which
Mm.
was just 2 hours of watching a tree. Like what?
Yeah, Tom and Jerry.
I
Oh,
did actually like Tom. I'm one of the few that
what?
actually enjoyed that film. But
Oh, Colin
yeah,
Jost ruined it for me.
the what?
Colin Jost ruined that one for
Oh.
me. I was like, "Are you even acting? You're just in here." Um,
Another one that I hated is America, the motion picture. I went
no.
into I mean, I knew that it was a hard R-rated, movie, and I was open to it, but I just thought it was so repetitive in its jokes, and it was just so ugh, I really disliked it.
I've got a
S
take, but this movie is not my most hated or anything, but this is definitely one that at the end I was more negative than positive on. Don't hate me. You have to promise not to hate me first.
Okay, I'll try.
Cruella.
Oh, okay. No, I was very, like, "Eh," on
You're
Cruella,
gonna make
so
the dog killer cool? It's weird, and then make the dogs the murderers? What are you
yeah,
doing?
I agree. I mean, I thought it had just barely went positive on it. I thought it had enough, like, fun moments. I don't know, I enjoyed it enough to barely give it but I agree, it has huge problems, especially if you don't accept it as its own thing, then it's a mess.
That
Like,
might
what
be
are
the
they
issue I had
what?
is that I didn't just take it as its own. Like,
Mhm.
'cause to me, I was like, if you're adapting this character and you're fundamentally changing her in a way that, like, now the only thing that's really similar is the fashion stuff,
Yeah.
then what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like Pete's Dragon in the sense you have to, like, just accept it as it's totally its own thing,
Mm,
because it really has almost nothing to do even though they try to make it similar, like, why was she giving Roger and Anita Pongo and Purdy? That doesn't make any sense, like, why? I don't know, it was weird.
oh, Space Jam: A New Legacy, The Search for More Money.
Formal review says, "Agree on Cruella," yeah.
Whoa, I
Um
got that's shocking. Thank you. We can be best
Very
friends.
formal. The one of the worst movies, I mean, there's lots to criticize in Cinderella and in Dear Evan Hansen and other musicals. This has been the year of musicals, but nothing is worse than Diana the musical on
I
Netflix.
didn't even see that
It
yet.
I mean, it takes a lot for me to dislike a
Really?
musical. I am such a softie when it comes to musicals. I I went fresh on Cats, so that
What?
says a lot. I love musicals.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm just saying. So if I say this musical is terrible, that is saying
That
a
says a
lot.
lot. That really does. Earwig.
Every part of it, the lyrics, the music, the books, the casting, everything. The rhyming was so cringy.
Mhm.
It
What
was
did you think of
so
Crypto Zoo
I
back in
didn't like it. It was
Thank you.
too
What
much. And
says that?
actually, I really enjoyed his previous film, my entire high school is falling into the sea. I
Mhm.
thought that one was funny and enjoyable. This one, it just felt really repetitive again, and it was just too much. And I think that sometimes when people decide, it's kind of like with America the motion picture. It's like when people decide that they're going to an adult animated film, sometimes they take that too far, and it's like it just becomes kind of repetitive in its
Mhm.
adult content. It's like they're trying,
Yeah.
it's too try hard instead of like having a good story that happens to have adult elements. That's fine. I have no problem with that at all. But when you're just like, at the
Yeah.
screen,
Uh, Cry Macho just made me sad.
oh, cry macho.
I was just like, quit making him get on the horse.
Yeah.
I know he
Uh,
wants to, but I know a lot of old people that think they can drive to the grocery store. I have a
yeah.
lot of
I skipped out on that. I was just so tired, and I'm like, I don't feel like going to the screening. And it
didn't
looked
wanna
like
watch a
exactly the
30-year-old
same as
woman hit on him.
can't think of his last movie, but it was like it looked the same as
Oh,
that
what
one.
was it? The Mule. Was
The
it The Mule?
Mule, yeah, this is like the
The one
Mule.
where he has a threesome?
Uh-huh.
My
Yeah, I didn't
god.
care for
Okay.
that. I loved a movie at TIFF called Violet, someone to look out for. This one will be
Oh,
very
Felix Run,
divisive.
right?
People I thought it really captured that sense of sort of anxiety and the way women
Mm.
feel in the workplace. And I it was I had seen so many really artistic films in a row, and a lot of them hadn't spoken to me and didn't work. But this one, for whatever reason, I was like, I get this. This speaks to me, and I thought it was creative without being annoying. And so yeah, I liked Violet and Luke Bracey. He is a very handsome man.
Yeah. I like the Roadrunner documentary, the Anthony Bourdain one as well. I
Yeah,
thought that was
yeah,
really well done.
that was good.
There's one called
Uh,
Seaspiracy that came out that was pretty shocking as
it's been
far as,
a
like
very good year for documentaries.
Mhm.
The Rescue was incredible. I just couldn't believe how they got some of those shots that they got and how good it all looked and and you were just rooting for the whole team.
Yeah.
That was really good. Um, all right, I guess we should talk about DC Fandome. I mean, I loved Free Guy and I also loved
That's the
Shang-Chi.
intro to DC Fandom. Yeah!
There's also out
Alright.
of Fantasia Fest, there was a really good little indie called Glass House that
Mhm.
you should check out. And if you want to, the poster is absolutely atrocious. Don't look at the poster. It's a good movie. And our friend Kristen Maldonado, she did a whole interview with the director of Glass House that you
Oh,
also
wow.
check out. It's really good. It's about this post-apocalyptic world where the air is toxic, and these women are all living in this house. And if you get exposed to the air, you start to lose your memories.
Mhm.
And uh, and then this man appears, and they start to kind of take care of the man, and you start to realize that like what have they forgotten, and what is reality, and what is it was very good. I liked it a lot. And so that's something to check out. And like I said, don't look at the poster. It's awful. Anyway, okay. But let's talk about DC fandom.
Mhm.
I think the thing is that it just was underwhelming. It was really long and they didn't tell us very much. And so you were just kind of
Felt
waiting.
like
And
a
it was a
bad
lot of
general
stuff that
popcorn.
like does anybody really care about like all these? I mean, I love animation, but I mean, they've spent a lot of time on animated films / shows
Mhm. Well, I tried to make
in
the
this.
comparison that, like, this feels like a 4-hour it feels honestly just like general conference where it's like, yeah, you
Yeah,
wanna make sure that you're there for the first presidency, like
right.
the big people, but go over the 70, I can make
Yeah,
a sandwich. I can go do I can maybe take a quick power nap and get ready for the next one. But the
that's true.
the benefit the general conference had that they would take breaks. This did not take breaks. It was like you sit for 4 hours and you watch Superman and Lois talk about their thing for 2 hours.
Yeah. Yes. That's very true. Oh, we got DC Scam Dome,
Oh.
aka Trash Dome. Yes,
Crap stamp.
accurate. They did Superman dirty.
They did.
Well, they
They
didn't even talk about Superman hardly at all.
or Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, all they had
That's
was, Patty Jenkins.
but they did have so they started with, Black Adam, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson gave his quick little, like, teaser footage, and he said the thing that he said a million times, "The power dynamic is about to change in the DC universe." It's like, "Cool. Let's go."
Mhm.
And then where did they go from there? Did they go to the Flash? It went like Shazam, Flash.
No, wasn't Flash towards the end? I'm trying to
I
remember.
I thought Batman was the last one. So
Yeah,
Batman was the
Batman was
last
the
one.
end.
They showed the Caped Crusader, animated stuff, which I'm actually looking forward to quite a bit.
Mhm. And, let's see here. They didn't have as much content this year. A lot of it was the same from last year because of the delays.
Mm,
Yeah, that's accurate.
that's
And Superman and Lois and the Staircase to Nowhere.
and yeah, like, they gave a full tour of that house, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is a
You're
light.
like,
It does
"What?"
not turn on because this is a set.
I mean, I kept kind of looking away because I figured, oh, everybody will be talking on Twitter when there's important stuff because I didn't have 4 hours to
Mm,
spend on this thing. But I guess we talk about some of the stuff they had behind the scenes of Aquaman and the new Shazam movie. Um, I wasn't a big fan of either of the originals of these movies,
mm.
but
Well,
always hopeful
Shazam,
they'll
there's a lot of
improve.
reasons why that movie was the whole situation with what happened with
Yeah,
you. Yeah, I that's so annoying. The most positive DC movie, and like everybody were freaking. Can I say d bags?
I think that's
They're the
okay.
worst. I'm sorry.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And I did have so much support from friends and the community that surrounds me, and I really appreciated that. But it still doesn't make me super excited for like the new movie.
No,
I mean,
and
I'll try to
the
always go
movie.
in with an open mind, but it's hard, when you've had that experience, to it's hard to put it behind you. But it's interesting because I feel like since that happened, a lot of the, particularly the Snyder people, have kind of turned against Shazam. I feel like, and they have brought up many of
They're
the
all
same
cannibals.
criticisms that I brought up, and yet they didn't. They didn't come to me and say, "Oh, we agree, with what you said now," or "We've come around," or whatever. But it's been kind of interesting to see more and more people kind of saying, yeah, the tone was sort of all over the place in the movie, and the I that the Shazam Zachary Levi Shazam didn't feel like the same person as young kid
Yeah,
Billy.
that's
And people acted like that was like some kind of bizarre criticism to give. Like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, commenting on tone. That's like crazy talk now. I don't understand
mhm.
it. But uh,
Completely different character arcs, kind of.
whew. So it was exhausting. But you did see in this with the Shazam, you saw Rachel Zegler, Helen Mirren, and Lucy Liu as the new set of villains. Because I
Mhm.
think almost everybody would also agree that the villain wasn't great
That's
in the
true.
original Shazam.
Yeah, and I'm expecting them to do a lot more with this if they're bringing in heavy hitters like Helen Mirren and then but then again, Helen Mirren would love to be in the next Fast and Furious movie, so it's kind of up in the air on what quality she's looking for with her future projects.
Yeah, I mean, if you can call her being in Fast and Furious, she was in it for like 2 minutes, hardly any. Um,
Yes.
we have the headless Superman at the end, total disrespect.
They should just put a big question mark on the head. Like, just lean into it. You guys are being jerks about it anyway. But what
Yeah.
about the Flashpoint trailer? Did you like that one?
The Flash, the one with Adam Driver
Michael
with
Keaton.
Michael Keaton and Ben. Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I'm not like the hugest fan of the 89 Batman. I didn't grow up with it, so I don't have nostalgia for it.
Mhm.
And it's not like my favorite. So I don't think it meant as much to me as it did to people who do have that nostalgia, who do, love that character and that iteration of the character, but it was still fun. I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's especially interesting after he did Birdman, where it was all like meta on superhero movies and whatever.
Right?
So then now he's coming back, which is interesting.
Well, the whole thing was like, "Don't you wanna do another Birdman movie?" And he's like, "No, I won't sell out. I'm gonna be on the stage." What movie's coming out? Can I do that as Batman? That'd be cool. Like, that's basically
Yeah.
what he did in, like, a 4-year
Yeah.
span, 4 or 5-year span.
Right. So the formal movie he says, "What happened around the movie to you, Rachel?" I love Shazam.
TLDR it for him
Yeah,
with
I'll
sound
talk.
effects.
But if anybody's wondering, if they don't know, I had put out my Shazam review. I was one of the first that had gone rotten on it, so I got tagged by this group called F Marvel Tards. They sent their goons after me, and it was pretty intense. And I got told that in my next screening, they were going to take a semi-automatic weapon and going to shoot out the screening. And so we had to contact Warner Brothers. We had to contact the screening reps, and I had to have a personal person. My brain. I had to have a person chaperoning me to all the screenings for like over a year. It was a mess,
Yeah.
and it was scary, and it was awful, and that was a hard experience to go through.
It's a big
And I
reason
mean,
I
I think
honestly
most,
hate the
particularly
DC
female
fandom.
critics, go through that kind of experience at least once, if not more. And some of the big ones, it happens daily, and I don't know how you deal with that. But but yeah,
You handled it very
it was
well though,
hard.
Rachel, and it
What's
was
that?
it wa you handled it very well,
Oh,
and it
thank
was
you.
it was tough, but we all saw how you handled it, and I think that's why in the end of the day, the DC fans, like I've said, they're kind of cannibals. Like, they eat each other, they hate each other. Whatever takes they have that's different from whatever the zaddy stuff is, and there's never like a level of, hey, maybe you shouldn't be threatening to go shoot up a theater. Like, they almost try to forgive that behavior and say, well, that's not us, it is you. Like,
Hmm.
you will, when you let that stuff in, it's you, and it affects people way more in the real world when you're doing that than it could
Hmm.
virtually. So if
And I blame most
upset.
these groups, these terrorist groups that I call them internet terrorists, because I think what they do is they rile up their base to get money. Whether it's YouTube, certain YouTube channels that are posting 5 million videos about Brie Larson, or these kind of things, and they rile them up, rile them up, and then that somehow validates these people. Then go out and then say these horrible things because they feel like they're part of this movement or whatever, and they feel vindicated.
Yeah,
And so these people that are profiting off these doing this, I think, are the biggest evil
it's
online. And
manufacturing outrage is the currency for the internet now.
mhm. And we all know what those channels are. We all know what those Facebook groups are. And I mean, it wasn't more than 30 minutes after I had gotten tagged by this group, this F Marvel Tards group, that I got the death threat. And it's not, it's not surprising that they would feel somehow validated in that. And it was a horrible experience. It was very a very it's one I'm still kind of, in some ways, I feel like I'm still kind of coming to terms with a little bit sometimes, when I feel a little bit like I'm a little scared to put out this review, but I, you
I'm
just got to
sorry that
do
you
it.
did that
You
to
got to
you.
do it.
Yeah, but that's not okay that you now have that worry, you know?
Mhm.
So screw
Anyway.
Shazam 2. We're not gonna watch it. Screw Shazam 2 and screw all the creators.
I did wait on my Joker review and I waited on my Birds of Prey review. Just so I felt like I'm gonna give myself a little bit of time. So hopefully I don't get attacked that way. But and I have to say
sometimes
I
stuff.
if anything, my review of Spider-Man Far From Home was a lot harsher than my review of Shazam. I did not like that movie. And I think the blowback from that was way less than the blowback from Shazam. And I think it was partly because with Shazam, I was the first female critic to criticize it, to give it a rotten. And so, yeah. And now I've started the Female Film Critics panel every month. I have my friends on and we share our experiences. And so that's been super empowering. So that's a gift that the experience has given me. But
I'm glad that this guy asked about it because
yeah.
that is really important information for people to know how that started, the female panel.
Mm-hmm.
And like that makes me want to be a part of it, but I can't. But I'd love to, I'll bring waters, whatever.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, we got some good comments. And neither DC or Marvel is perfect, but no one criticizing film deserves that. And I was definitely I've been very sensitive ever since then. Whenever I see any of my colleagues that are giving a negative review to particularly a comic book movie, like just seeing some of the early responses out of Eternals, for instance, I want to try to support anybody who is brave enough to have an unpopular opinion about one of those movies, because it's hard and it's not easy to do. People think that we love it. No, I would way rather have like a positive opinion.
Well, because there's not just anxiety about like a fan backlash. There's a little bit of anxiety of, if I'm going to rough on this film, are the artists and creators able to see this, and will they not feel good about what I'm saying? Or like, are there perhaps like smaller studios that look at reviews and say, well, we don't want them to be at the next one, or however the thing is. Like it's all a weird tightrope that's like all respect, yet all like, how do you find your voice and how do you give your authentic opinion?
Well, and if you're not being authentic, you're not going to last long in this business. You have to, if you're just kind of agreeing with what everybody else thinks, or if you're just saying, what needs to be said to get access, then you're not going to last long. You need to have your own voice, your own opinions. People know that they can trust you, that you're going to say what you feel. But that doesn't mean that it's easy. It can still be challenging. So anyway,
New Line, I think, is a Warner Brothers picture, or New Line works with Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that Warner Brothers is the studio and distributor. New Line is the actual, like, they put all the pieces, the producer.
Yeah,
I think. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about some other stuff. So yeah, The Flash, that was fun, a fun little teaser. I think sometimes I prefer teasers. I don't know about you, if you agree. Like
lately, kind of. Like, I've been avoiding some trailers just because it's like, I don't know if I even have the energy to want to like process all the stuff and be like, oh wow, I've just got revealed tons of things. But also, some of the movies where I've gone in the dark, I've loved so much, and like I kind of like that feeling now.
Yeah, I agree. And but like with the teaser, it's just like you just get a little tease. You just get a little bit, and enough to kind of get you excited, get you motivated, get you going. But you don't get that whole sort of whole story. So sometimes I think I prefer those the most.
And some trailers like to just spoil the crap out of their movie. Like some trailer houses are like, no, we make the movie, and they just like throw out their thing. In some cases, like Suicide Squad, they're right, and they do end up making the movie. But
right, yeah. Well, so then they had Black Adam, and they had Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, coming on and saying that he was born to play Black Adam, and that he has been working on this for a long time. I think he's executive producing in the film
for 10 years.
And is this a character that you know? Do you read the comics?
Black Adam is from the Shazam universe, obviously, and he's a lot more ancient and in the comics, I believe, is resurrected into the modern time or comes into the modern time from there. There's a really good animated show called Shazam and Superman, and it's both of them meeting together to face off against Black Adam, who has shown up to Metropolis or somewhere that they have to basically help to take care of. And it's at the same time that Superman's trying to teach Billy Batson like his power dynamic and stuff. What feels different to me about this versus those comics is that The Rock is just enormous. Like, he's enormous physically. He doesn't have like the kind of black hair. I don't necessarily know, because I think he's Egyptian, Black Adam. And so, as far as like being born to play it, you're Polynesian. I'm not entirely sure if that's accurate, but it does. He looks the part, and the power. He looked incredibly powerful, and when he grabbed that guy and just turned him into dust, that was pretty insane.
Yeah, and I mean, he is a very charismatic actor, and I think that he will bring a lot of that into the movie. And it seems like they have a pretty fun cast around surrounding him. They have oh gosh,
The whole
now the name is
Society
just
is going to be there. Dr. Fate, Hawkman, Adam
Pierce
Smasher.
Brosnan saying that it's better than any of the Bond movies that he's been in. That's some hyperbole there.
He took his paycheck and walked away.
All right.
Let me say that. Bye.
It has Noah Centineo, who is so charming. I don't know if you got to see any of the To All the Boys I've Loved Before movies. They're really good. They're actually really well written and well done. And he's in those, and he's very, very charming in those movies. And so I think he has big star potential, and could do really great things. So, and then it also has Sarah Shahi in it, who is in a bunch of stuff. She's in a show called Sex Life on Netflix, which is not Hallmark friendly at all. It is very, very, but she's very good in it. So yeah, I think it has a good cast, and so I'm hopeful that it'll be good.
Me too. And maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I was gonna say screw Shazam 2 again, but we'll just move over to Pattinson Batman.
Well, so Formal says the best over Brosnan Bond movie is not a hard task.
Right? That's what I was thinking. I was like, that wasn't really hard to say, and even if he said it, like, okay.
I like GoldenEye. I think that's a pretty good movie.
That's very true. That's underrated, and it brought one of the best video games of Bond ever.
So let's talk a little bit about the Batman trailer.
Yeah.
And this was really good. I mean, I don't know if it was as good as the trailer last year, which was so good. And I think it was good because it was so unexpected. Like, we didn't think we were going to get it. So it was very exciting.
No, that's true. And the tee off to how they were setting up each character, like their little shots. And this new trailer to me feels like it's definitely giving you as much story as it's going to give for the entire thing. I do not think another trailer is going to tell us anything more than what we're at. And March can't come soon enough. Like, it's the year. This year's the year of musicals, but 2022 is going to be the year of the Batman. We're gonna have
not as good. I want the year of the musical.
What if there's a Batman musical? That could happen, right?
That's my dream.
There's like 5 of them. One of them's got to be able to sing.
I just love the fact that people were like, I am so tired of this quarantine. Let's all sing a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like the world understands me more than I thought it did. Because that was my response.
But I will say, as far as the characters that we have introduced, a lot of people are drawing comparisons to Batman Begins, which it's fair. There's not other Batman films that are trying to tell a pseudo origin. They are making the clarification that this Batman is already 2 years into his work, but it does have a similar like color palette, I guess you could say, in some situations or scenes that we saw. But it just feels like it's not that. Like, Christopher Nolan's had a level of honor.
Yeah.
It wanted to have honor. It wanted to have kind of like a level of maybe agelessness and class to this Batman character. This one, they're like, can he pull teeth out of criminals with pliers and then punch him 5 more times? Like, how violent can we make this guy before he ends up killing people is how I feel they're going with this Batman, which is totally different.
Do you think that this will end up being rated R?
I think it could. I think it definitely could. But there's a part of me that feels that Warner Brothers still has that little itch of, we don't want to necessarily give all of the creative control. There's still a middle ground where we can keep this PG-13, keep marketing Batman toys and all of that junk. But then again, they just gave Matrix Resurrections an R rating. So that
But the Matrix movies have always been R.
Always been R, yeah. But there's a chance they could have not. I mean, Die Hard was rated R until they brought in Live, Die, Repeat, or whatever that one was.
That's true. I mean, in a way, I feel like that's kind of sad that I want kids to be able to enjoy these films. And because, I mean, they've always had a great time playing Superman, Batman, kind of a thing. But then on the other hand, there is so much content that there's, plenty of Batman and Superman and other things that they can watch. The kids can watch, there's animated or, something like the superhero girls animated cartoon, things. So there's stuff that little kids can watch. Yeah. So then maybe it makes sense to then have one option that's just for adults as well. I don't know. But
do you think it'll be R?
I don't know. It's looking pretty violent. I think it'll be very close if it's not. I think they are going to ride that line. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to me that like blood and F words make something R when something can be like super violent.
Yeah.
Like blood.
Watch Law and Order SVU. They say the most disgusting things you'll ever hear on television.
Yeah.
They still get away. It's weird what the rules are for the MPAA too.
I know a lot of people were commenting on Selena Kyle, Catwoman, the amount of time that she's in the trailer. But I think that's cool. I'm excited to see what they do with the character. I don't feel like that character has ever really been done that well in movies. I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer, I guess it was good.
But she's
Tim
Burton's Catwoman. She's not comics Catwoman.
Yeah. So I'm very curious to see how this happens. And if they, I'm a big romantic fan. So if they kind of bring in a little romance, that will make it more palatable to me.
I'd ship that hard.
Yeah. So we will see. Because obviously they have a younger Batman. So they could have him have a relationship with this Selena Kyle. That would be good.
I mean, we can't leave out the fact that Colin Farrell is disguised in a massive penguin costume.
Yes.
And maybe he'll be able to charm Catwoman a little bit to be able to work with him, just like Batman Returns.
I mean, that just seems so exhausting putting on that makeup. Like, I'm not sure why that it's even. I mean, well, I guess we'll see it in the movie, but why he can't just look like his normal self? You know what I mean?
It's true, but I love his accent. It's so cheesy. Hey, use the Batman, eh?
Yeah. The former review, he agrees on Catwoman. Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Cool. He's on it.
Yeah. Okay. I am in general pretty excited about the movie. I didn't watch.
You excited for the Batmobile? Does that look?
Oh yeah, that looks good.
I can go all day about this trailer. There's so many little points. It's like we could talk about the Riddler's costume. How he's
the Riddler.
Jim Carrey.
Who's doing the Riddler? Do you remember?
Yeah, that's gonna be Paul Dano.
Oh yeah. He'll be good.
How he's kind of a barista with making the little coffee indent and stuff. He's making foam lattes for people.
I tell you, Paul Dano, he has a great agent. He shouldn't give his agent because I think he's a fine actor. Like he's a good actor, but he gets in so many amazing projects. I mean, just like, how do you get these projects?
Watch, this is basically how their conversations always go. Paul, we got this new role for you, and it's a very big role. It's in the new Batman. Am I going to get punched again? You're going to get punched a lot. Like, way more than Prisoners. It's going to be so much worse.
Yeah. So it says one more review says, I like the aesthetic that it's similar to the video games. There was a lot about video games in Fandome. I don't know anything about video games, so I
Gotham
didn't really
Knights.
plan
I
to
can
talk
tell you a
about
little
it,
bit
but
about that.
yeah.
So Gotham Knights is essentially like the Arkham trilogy happened, and this is what the aftermath is after that. So the creators were saying it's similar to a feeling that they had when they were walking down an alleyway in a city they thought that they remembered, but had gone back to 10 years later, and everything had changed. So that was kind of the feeling they wanted to give to their Batman characters, is that this Gotham feels completely different than what they're used to. So how do you navigate that without Batman? It was interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. So I know didn't watch the Suicide Squad movie,
Mhm.
um, but they have this Peacemaker show. Are you excited about that?
Not really. Like, it just
Mm,
kind of feels like Hot Rod, like a version of Hot Rod with like violent. Hot Rod meets The Boys is about with a lot of patriotism, like
mm,
sprinkled
mhm,
throughout. But they clearly did not know that they had much stronger characters that we wanted to see more from in the Suicide Squad than
mhm.
Peacemaker. We
Yeah.
want Ratcatcher too.
Mhm. Yeah, and I know everybody liked the shark.
And King Shark. Yep, King
Yeah.
Shark. Oh, I do. We'd have to mention the Harley Quinn show, which, as far as animated shows, if you haven't seen the Harley Quinn animated series, you're totally missing out. It's incredibly funny. It takes all of the crazy ideas that you would want to see Harley Quinn do in like an R-rated setting and puts it into this. Plus, they give you a great relationship with her and Poison Ivy. So I'm very looking forward to that season.
Mm. I've heard that from a lot of people. So our buddy Tom Sars here to support two of the best film critics on the Watch That Front.
Hey,
Woo!
Tom. He's too nice. I don't know how to handle it. So
Okay, let's see here. Peacemaker wasn't the best character in the movie,
true.
so Former Review agrees with you. And Harley Quinn is an amazing TV show. So there you go.
At
All
least
right.
one episode. You've not watched it, Rachel, right?
No.
Give it one episode. You don't have to
Okay.
watch the whole thing. Just find that there's one that makes fun of the Snyder Cut fans, and it's hilarious.
Oh my gosh,
It,
I gotta watch
it
that.
roast them so hard, and the Last Jedi people too. They go after both of them.
Yeah, I felt kind of like the Snyder people were like waiting to pounce on me, and then I actually liked the Snyder cut.
Mhm.
And because that's the thing, like with me, is that I'm gonna be honest with my reviews. Some things DC makes I like, some things I don't like, some things Marvel makes I like, some things that I don't like. And so
Mhm.
I'm like, surprise, I actually liked it.
I think all of the critics were relieved that that we didn't have to say this is the worst thing we've ever
Yeah.
seen. We're like, oh, thank goodness, we don't have to lie.
Yes. He says also it roasts the Dark Knight Rises
Oh,
Bane.
totally. Their Bane is so funny. He always has to sit on a little chair because they never give him the big chair in
Yeah.
the Hall of Evil. He's always the henchman, and he gets pissed about it.
Yeah. Well, before we go, let's talk a little bit about this whole spoiler thing. This is coming out of the Eternals premiere in
Controversy.
Hollywood that they had, and one of the reporters from Variety went and spoiled the post-credits scene, which is a big, reveal. We're obviously not going to spoil it here. And the thing about it for me is that normally I'm on the side of like, calm down. It's not that big a deal. You're making way too big a deal about spoilers. And people sometimes drive me crazy about like, there was somebody who was mad at me for talking about the fact there was time travel in Endgame. And I'm like, you have to be a moron to not know that there's going to be time travel in Endgame. If I can't bring that up, then I can't talk about the film at all.
Mhm.
Right. And so if you're that sensitive to spoilers, and I did a whole rant on this channel about spoiler phobia and how they were driving me crazy. So I am usually not the person that's like, ah.
No.
But I just feel like there's certain things that should be common sense and should be obvious. Like, yes, you can talk about time travel in Endgame, but you shouldn't talk about who dies at the end of Endgame. That's
Mm.
obvious spoiler, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I just think like these people that are going to the premiere are so fortunate and so blessed to be able to be given this opportunity and then to go home and spoil a post-credit scene, which should be an obvious thing that is spoiler heavy. I mean, it is very frustrating.
Yeah, I agree. And not only that, but we were talking about this yesterday. What are the rules when it comes to this stuff? It's never necessarily like openly spoiling it in a tweet. Like literally, I believe there was 5 minutes in between when that guy got out of the theater and when he tweeted that out, where it's just, you work for Variety, bro. Like, this is a huge company, and you're doing something that honestly to me feels sophomoric. It feels like you're not even at the point where you're understanding how these screenings work, how these press stuff works, and not even respecting the people that invited you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's just for review. Love the show, you too, but leaving due to spoilers.
Knew it. The spoiler phobia has struck again.
And I also feel like there should be a time limit on spoilers.
Yeah,
Like, if I'm saying,
you gotta address it. You gotta bring it
like,
up before
yeah,
you
like if
spoil
I'm
it.
saying who Luke Skywalker's father is, it's been a long time. You should know this. Like, we shouldn't
Yep.
have to. I shouldn't have to say spoiler alert before everything.
It's true. There's a
People
statute
drive
of
me
limitations.
crazy.
Mhm.
You have to be able to talk about film and the things that you like and the things that you don't like in a nuanced way. And I think that things like casting, like anything that's in the sort of trailer or the synopsis provided by the studio, I think that's fair game. I
Mhm.
think that's fine. If you are going to go deeper than that, then you need to put spoiler warning or whatever on your video. And if you've done that, there's no need to say spoiler warning because you've said it in the title of your video/review.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm like, this is not that hard. Like, we should,
Yeah,
but I think
agree.
that
Put
it
it on
should
your stupid
be,
Patreon. Make people have to pay for it.
yeah. And I just feel like there should be certain things that are just, it's just common sense. And when people, it's spoiling a post-credit scene, I think is just ridiculous. And it's frustrating because the people in those kinds of trades probably will get no punishment of any kind. In fact, they'll probably be rewarded for bringing a bunch of clicks over to the site. So it's
Yeah.
frustrating.
Well, I'll check myself on this though, because I'll be honest. I have done something that I don't consider as bad as this. However, I
Hmm.
can see why this very much was an issue that upset people. So, The
Hmm.
Mandalorian had come out the first episode, and
Hmm.
it was literally the next morning. So I had assumed mainly every Star Wars fan had seen something at this point. They knew what the ending was at that point, right? So I put a little a thing, and I put up the picture of Baby Yoda.
Hmm.
Yikes! Yeah, I got people from our film critics group cussing me out, like
Oh my
screaming,
gosh.
take it down," and
Mm.
even after that, like, I understood, like,
Hmm.
people that are going to work and doing stuff like that, but there's a difference between when it's available to everybody and when you've still got, like, almost a month before this film is even supposed to come out.
Right.
It's crazy that it's just so much liberty and so much arrogance to think that you can do that and not have anybody be like, "Hey, you kinda ruined this for me."
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that showing a picture of what a character looks like is one thing versus like a post-credit scene that's an obvious big reveal. Like,
Mhm.
that's, I still think that's less, and
It is
we've
it's
all
not
made
good.
mistakes. We've
It's
all,
pretty bad.
we've all screwed up from time to time. But and that's why I think people, that's why usually I'm on the side of like, calm down, it's not that big a deal. Like, and I do think that if something is legitimately ruined for you
Mm.
by spoilers, then it's probably not very good anyway.
And you
Because
should rearrange your priorities.
yeah.
If
And
that
so
hurt you so much.
yeah. But on the other hand, I also think it's rude to uh to to spoil something big. I just feel like both things are true. Like, most
Mhm.
people make too big a deal out of spoilers, but also like people should try their best
But I think
not to
calling it
spoil.
rude is honestly the extent. Like, that's the height. It's like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that was really rude." But
right.
they take it to, "Where's your kids go to school?" Like, some reactions are crazy to
Yeah.
spoiler stuff.
It's interesting, yeah, and then we're gonna fine you $1 million or some crazy stuff.
They'll put you in the Squid Game if you spoil Marvel stuff. That's probably where that dude is now. He hasn't tweeted since, I don't think.
Yeah. Cal tells us, "I've never seen Star Wars, and I was born in the '80s." So we need to work
Or
on
you might
that.
have been born on Krypton if that's based on your name, so I can understand that.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, this has been really fun. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much for
much.
doing this.
No, my
I had a
pleasure.
blast.
This is super fun. If I
Mhm.
didn't annoy everybody too much, I'd love to come back.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. And we'll have you on Hallmarkies one of these days too. We got to find the right rom-com for you
Well,
to
I've got a
talk about.
question. I've got a Hallmark question.
All right.
I was thinking about it, and this is a drama question, I guess. But the lady from Full House has returned to Hollywood, and her first thing is a
Mhm.
Hallmark film. And I know
See,
that she's actually fairly popular in Hallmark,
yeah.
right? She's
So it's
been
a
in a
little
lot.
bit confusing. So this has been the walk and talk of my life lately, but so I try not to go too long on it. But so there's Hallmark Channel originally had a this is a long story, had a CEO named Bill Abbott. Well, Bill
Mhm.
Abbott got fired not by the Hallmark people, but by like the card people, like
Mm,
way up
okay.
because he made a boneheaded decision of they had a ad that had a lesbian wedding and he pulled it because the 1 million moms people told him, like, complained to him. He
Oh,
pulls it, and which was idiotic, of course.
mhm.
And so then he gets fired by the card people. And now Bill Abbott has like brought a ton of people over from Hallmark over to creating a new network called GAC Family, which has just started in September. And now GAC Family, it's kind of crazy because their rollout has been almost exactly like Hallmark, like 2017, 2018. They even got the dog that they used in Hallmark. Now is on GAC. I mean, and so they have they
That's like
have
leaving your office that you quit and taking, like, staplers and pencils.
yeah. And so they have, I think, 13 movies that are coming out for this holiday season. And they were able to get a lot of people that were sort of mainstays over at Hallmark are now working for GAC.
Mm,
And it's been kind of a mess for me. It's kind of made my life a mess because some people think we should cover GAC, some people think we shouldn't because of this sort of homophobic kind of past. Also, GAC is sponsored, or the investors behind it are the same people who do the OANN, like the really right wing, like even more than Fox News
mm,
network. And so there's a lot of people who are very upset by that. And I understand both perspectives. We are not covering GAC on Hallmarkies podcast.
yeah.
It's been a mess. But
That
but
makes
anyway, so as far
that
as the
sounds
Lori
like a fun
Loughlin thing, so,
Yeah. I was
so
thinking
Lori Loughlin, there's a show called When Calls the Heart on
Mm,
Hallmark. It's their most popular show. It's a very popular show. And she played a character named Abigail, who was the town mayor. And
that's hilarious.
when she had her scandal, she was kicked off the show off of anything to do with Hallmark. Like they literally even took off her movies from the like little movie app that she
Oh,
was
wow.
in. They took them off. And um, so they just like erased any memory of Lori Loughlin on Hallmark Channel.
Mm,
And now she's served her time. She's, trying to get back into things. Well, then when this GAC came about, there's this other show called When Hope Calls that
mm,
had one season, and then we haven't seen it again for 3 years. Well, now they're doing a special home When Hope Calls special Christmas movie
mm.
on GAC,
Oh,
and
oh,
they are bringing back Lori Loughlin because they never killed off her character on When Calls the Heart. They had her just go to like help her mother.
hmm,
And so now she's going to be on GAC on this When Hope Calls movie. They're not actually renewing the show yet. They'll see the
mm.
ratings. They're just doing a movie, but they're also bringing back Daniel Lissing, who did die in the 5th season. And in for 5 years, they had Elizabeth and Jack, Daniel Lissing's character Jack, this on and off again romance.
Mhm.
And it was just brutal. Like, just get together. Like, why? They stretched it out so long, 5 years. And anyway, they finally get married, and literally 3 episodes later, spoiler alert, he dies.
Mhm.
Because Daniel Lissing wanted to get off the show. He didn't like the
Yeah.
show, whatever. And so he dies, which was ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I mean, you just barely married off your characters. And they knew for 18 months ahead of time that that's what he wanted to do. So they
Yeah.
could have had like a year and a half of them, a season and a half of them being married. But no, they wait. And then 3 episodes later, they kill him off. It was crazy. And so now Daniel Lissing is coming back on When Hope Calls. And we don't know what he's going to be doing. If it's going to be like a prequel, if it's going to be like a dream or what.
She's on Hallmark Light, and
Yes,
it's
she's
a
on
test run.
GC. Yeah, because her and Bill Abbott were super good friends, very chummy.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's such like I am so fascinated all this like corporate goings on. I always think the corporate warfare is very very interesting.
Mhm.
Because the other thing too is that Hallmark normally in July they put out their Christmas schedule, and they even have
Yeah.
like a whole special with Lacey Chabert saying like these are the movies coming up this Christmas. Well, we kept waiting and waiting and waiting for the Christmas schedule because as a podcaster, I usually have all of my guests scheduled out for the whole season. I have all of the interviews scheduled out like
Mhm.
by the end of September, honestly. And so we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally, they release 3 weeks of announcements.
Yeah.
3 weeks. So through the beginning of November, and that's it. And we've got nothing else from them. And I think it's because of this GAC, and they're kind of, I don't know, they're scrambling. I think also they were worried about the strike, because that
Mhm.
would have ruined a lot of their productions if that had happened, because they have a lot that are going on right now. And anyway, so it's been kind of a mess for us because we're just kind of like the first Christmas movie is on Thursday. So yesterday, I'm recording our preview of only 3 weeks because that's all we had. And
Oh,
so as
man.
soon as we're done with this, I'm going to be editing that preview show that's going to go post tomorrow.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's just been wild. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad I found out more insider stuff. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's tricky because you have to figure out kind of like, I don't believe as a film critic that coverage equals endorsement. So if I
Mhm.
cover like a Mel Gibson movie, that doesn't mean it's not me saying I approve of his lifestyle and who he is as a person. I'm
Yeah.
a I'm a film critic. That's my job. And
Yeah.
so if I cover GAC, to me at least, that's not me saying I endorse GAC or these radical investors that are, behind it.
Mhm.
No. I'm a film critic. That's my job, is to
Yeah.
I cover the holiday films. They make holiday films. And there's by no means any kind of likelihood that I'll even like them. Like
Mhm.
it's not an endorsement. So that's how I feel. But again, I'm leading a team of people, and as a team, we all have to feel equally comfortable covering GAC. We
Yeah.
don't, and so we are not covering GAC because at Hallmarkies, it's not just me; it's a group,
Yeah.
and so that's what we had to do. But it was very stressful.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, and
I'm
trying to
sure there was
listen to
a lot of.
everybody and hear everyone's views, and
How many are in the Hallmarkies?
so there's as far as us actual co-hosts, there are currently 7 of us.
That's so.
So
Wait, I remember there just being like 2 or 3. It's grown so much.
it
That's
does.
awesome.
Yeah, and we have different people that cover kind of different things, and we make it all work. And I mean, I'm just really proud of us. Like, we have a very diverse group of women, and I don't have to be on every single thing now, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have to cover Chesapeake Shores this season. Carrie and Casey and Anne cover Chesapeake Shores, which was great. And our kind of niche in the space is we cover basically everything.
Yeah.
This year we're not covering everything because of GC, but also it's just so much. So what we're gonna do, because Lifetime is putting out 35 movies this year, and they're not starting until November 12th. And then starting on the 25th, they're going to have a new movie every single day until Christmas.
Oh, wow.
Which is intense.
That is intense. Along with the Oscar season.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a weekly non-Hallmark episode. And whatever it is that we've watched, we'll talk about. And so as opposed to we have to cover these weekends movies or these whatever, like we may have one from 2 weeks ago that we finally watched. And so we're going to talk about that, or just whatever me and my co-host Caroline, whatever we've watched, we'll talk about for that week. So that's going to be our new strategy, whether it's Netflix, whether it's any of the other networks own. Even Discovery Plus is having a Christmas movie this year.
Oh, man. I hope they don't tie it in with 90 Day Fiance. Or I kind of do. No, but yeah.
Yeah. They have Ree Drummond from The Pioneer Woman on Food Network. They have her in it.
Oh,
so yeah. But it's kind of crazy in the Christmas movie space.
I bet.
Last year I reviewed and watched 115 Christmas movies, new Christmas movies. And so that was intense. And I think it's going to be even more this year.
I don't know how you do that. That's a lot.
Anyway, so that's the story. But the first movie of the Christmas season starts on Thursday. So yeah, it starts tomorrow. So it's going to be exciting. And we're going to have tons of coverage, and we're going to have interviews. We have just this weekend, we have Paul Campbell on the podcast. Who this is his 7th time being on the podcast. He's a really fun actor. And we have another actor named Ish Morris who's going to be on this weekend. So it's really fun. And we're going to have previews and reviews. And next week we have the All the Rest preview with Jennifer Chandler and my friend Ryan. So that's always really fun. Anyway. So, why don't you tell?
I'm doing some stuff too,
Yeah, tell us.
I don't even want to list mine. Just go watch the Gaggle of Geeks show and check me out on ABC4 every once in a while, and of course the Patrick Beatty reviews. The Gaggle of Geeks show, we worked pretty hard on that thing. It's been a work in progress from 2020. We started with the pandemic, and we did not get any opportunity to really do the in-person sketch comedy stuff that we've always wanted to do. So now we're getting that opportunity. It's all live, it's all in person, and hopefully it's a little entertaining. So it's on Fridays at 7:30.
Sweet. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'll have all that in the description. Check it out. And where can people find you on like social media?
Just Patrick Beatty Reviews on Instagram and Facebook, and Twitter, Pat B Reviews.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. And also check out the Hallmarkies podcast after all of that rambling. Check it out.
More like the tantalizing pitches to check it out.
Yeah. And I'm really excited because we might, hopefully get Katie Sackhoff to come on the podcast.
Oh, wow, that'd be awesome.
Which would be amazing. Cool. So send your good vibes. We're still working it out, but yes. All right. Well, yeah, let us know what you think of this stream. And if you'd like us to talk about any other topics or whatever, let us know in the comments. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.